Welcome to the Boozy Blondes podcast.
She's Molly.
And she's Chrissy.
We're best friends on a quest to bring you all things boozy.
Let's get lit. Pop,
Fizz,
clink,
let's drink.
Hey Lushes, welcome back to the Boozy Blondes. Today we are going on a journey to Wisconsin where we interview Maggie Skinner, the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Fermentorium. So Chrissy, we go to a lot of bars, and what is our favorite thing to do when we go to a new bar?
Drink.
Well, right. Not the answer I was looking for. Good answer. Give me another guess.
We always get stickers.
Yeah.
We bring our own koozies.
Yeah.
And we like to order flights and do a flight draft.
Yeah. But I think we also like to sit at the bar.
Yes.
And talk to the bartenders.
Yes, we have learned that is kind of the most fun and you get the best recommendations.
Yeah. So this is kind of how I met Maggie. I was going on a trip to Wisconsin, so I was kind of looking up different breweries in the neighborhoods that I was going to be in. And this one called the Fermentorium caught my eye. And I happened to end up right across the street from there when I was on vacation. So I grabbed Rainer and I said, come on, we're running across the street real quick. I really want to check out this brewery. And inside was Maggie. She was sitting at the bar working, and we didn't know her, but we started talking to her and learned she was the Director of Sales and Marketing. And our conversation turned into her sharing different beers with us, letting us try a bunch of beers. So that was really fun. And she taught me all about Girls Pint Out, and I started telling her about us and the Boozy Blondes. And I asked her, Maggie, would you like to do an interview with us and be on our podcast? And she said, absolutely. And you know now, Chrissy, from speaking with her, Maggie is the coolest girl.
She's so awesome.
She's so kind. Rainer and I could have spoke with her for hours. And I think you and I definitely could have had our conversation going on for days with her.
Yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy the interview as much as we did. I feel like we were just like chatting with a friend and drinking and laughing a lot. So hopefully it translates into something educational, at least a little bit.
Yeah. So what was the dough, Chrissy?
So the dough while we were doing our interview with Maggie was Crispy and the Boys, which is an American lager from the Tank 8 project at the Fermentorium.
Yep. So we hope you guys enjoy the interview with Maggie.
Yep. Sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy.
Cheers. All right. So we're here with Maggie Skinner, and she's the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Fermentorium, which has two locations, one in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, and one in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. So I met Maggie in September of 2021. Rainer and I were actually across the street. Tosa location at Walters, which I got to give a shout out to Walters because that's one of the best corner bars in the Milwaukee area. Yeah. They had amazing Bloody Marys. But across the street was this beautiful building, local brewery called the Fermentorium. So I quick pulled up their website to see what was on tap, and I saw Harvest Apple Ale, which sounded amazing. And I said, Rainer, let's sneak over there real quick because my family was all drinking at Walters. And so we ran out the door and we went in, and Maggie was sitting at the bar. We didn't know who she was. I thought she was a patron doing work because I think you had your laptop out, and Rainer and I sat down. Always, right? And I ordered the Harvest Apple Ale, and Rainer ordered the Oktoberfest, and he tried my Harvest Apple Ale and was like, oh my gosh. And he does not like apple beers, or that would not be something he gravitated to. And he tried to trade me, and I wouldn't let him. So we ended up bringing a 4-pack home. It was delicious. And the Oktoberfest was awesome too. So anyway, we're drinking, and I'm looking at the swag. And then we started talking with Maggie and found out that she worked there. And not only did she work there, but she was the Director of Sales and Marketing. And I'm in marketing. So I just wanted to talk to her the rest of the night. And, So Maggie, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about your background, how you ended up at the Fermentorium, and, but first, what are you drinking?
Oh, yeah. So, first of all, important things first, beer. I'm drinking a Tank 8 beer. It's one of our side projects at the Fermentorium. It's called Crispy and the Boys. It's a light crisp lager. Easy to drink, easy to, just kind of maintain your life. You could drink it all day and probably be just fine. So, I haven't tested that personally, but it's a theory I have. So.
All right, challenge accepted when Chrissy and I come out there.
Yeah. So see how long we can last. I'm definitely gonna be the first one to drop.
How much crispy can we have? Yeah.
How much crispy can Chrissy drink?
Yeah.
And then say that after you drink it.
If you can't say it, you're cut off.
After every beer, you have to say it. It's kind of like when you stuff marshmallows in your mouth and see how, you know?
That's a great drinking game. And we're all about the drinking games on this podcast.
Nice. Yeah. So my background, you know, I started at the Fermentorium as the director of sales and marketing. That position was created for me by the owner. He knew that he needed to add to the team, and we had a couple serious conversations about, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, of course.
Yeah.
Why not? So yeah, it's just kind of been a whirlwind since. I've been with the Fermentorium for 3 years. And before that, I worked for a couple different distributors selling craft beer throughout the greater Milwaukee area. And then worked for a different brewery that is no longer open, unfortunately for them, as when I got started. But I mean, what led me to beer was actually Girls Pint Out, which is a girls' beer club, essentially.
What?
Yeah. So Girls Pint Out is a national. It was a nonprofit. Now I think it's just a national organization with 100 plus chapters across the U.S. And our goal is to really just build that community of women who like craft beer. You know, creating that safe space to ask us questions, to learn to learn about beer and not be judged, ridiculed. You know, to just have that safe space for information and to gain new friends. Because as you get out of college, it's very hard to find friends. And then if you find friends that you have like something in common with, which usually people with kids or married couples, or I don't know, if you go to yoga and you see the same people, that's all very cool, but also it's Wisconsin, so beer. So
I love that you said it's a safe place to ask questions, because while I'm not new to drinking, I am new to beer drinking. And I mean, I personify like the blonde in Boozy Blondes, because I will just sit at the bar and I feel like some of the questions I ask are pretty stupid, but I just like honestly want to know. And the more I'm learning, the more I'm appreciating what I'm drinking. And so that's been a really cool part of this podcast. So I love that part of Girls Pint Out.
I think it's, it's so important, going in, and especially as you're learning, it's like, it's not a dumb question. You just want to know. And you don't know, right? So that's the whole point of A, asking a question, but B, when it comes about beer, there's just so little space, or there has been in the past, for women to feel comfortable to even ask. And so then the whole shame spiral of, well, I'm too stupid to know anything about beer and I shouldn't be here. And then you don't feel comfortable even going to a brewery. I mean, what the crap is that? That's not even fun for anyone anymore. What's the point of beer?
And with like the craft beer explosion, I mean, I feel like there's always something new to learn. There's like new trends, and I see smoothie beers and I'm like, what is this? And it's just teaching me, I mean, just so much education just that goes into all the different development of different types of craft beers, and that it helps you know what you like and you feel more confident when you're at a bar ordering something.
Absolutely. And I mean, I learn something new every day about the industry. And I work with our brewer and learn things about his job. I know the general process of brewing beer, and I've definitely brewed on a bigger system that we have, but I couldn't brew a beer start to finish and make it taste great. So, that's why I don't work in the brew house. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I could, hone those skills and learn and do that. I just, that's not my goal at the moment, but he teaches me all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, hey, why are you doing it that way? And he's like, oh, because of this, why, X, Y, Z. And I'm like, oh, okay, duh, that makes sense. Thanks.
It's like half science and half art, I think, brewing these different beers.
I completely agree. It is an art form as well as obviously a science. So
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about Girls Pint Out, so there's not a St. Augustine chapter. We looked when you first told me about Girls Pint Out, but what what do? You say it's it's a group of like-minded beer drinkers or beer lovers, so to speak, and a safe place where you can ask questions. So do you approach different breweries and ask them to host either tasting events or learning events or tours, or what does all this look like?
Really all the above. We've done everything where I at first wasn't doing super in-depth, or I say nerdy. When I say nerdy, I mean it with it's a term of endearment at this point. I wasn't doing super in-depth or super nerdy classes, and we were just visiting breweries. We're doing yoga at breweries, which is also very cool. It's in different spots, and visiting different craft beer bars, and having like general meetups, so you could kind of bring your person as a safety net, whether that person identifies as male or female. That part didn't matter, because we do host co-ed events, and so all those meetups, and that was fun. You got to meet everyone, got to meet their person. But then I got a lot of requests for trips, so driving the buses all over. And then we did an in-depth ingredient series. So one of the brewers here in Brookfield, it's right outside Milwaukee, owns a brewery called Belova Brewing, and he used to be like, I think he used to co-own or be the president of Breeze Malt. I'm probably wrong on his exact title, but he was higher up at Breeze Malt, and so he brought in these like sample packs of all these kinds of malt, and he went so in depth in like the sub layer of the grain and how you even get that kind of roast and what you have to do, the whole process. It was fascinating. But we did that. We went to a hop farm as well, so we went in depth on each main ingredient to really explore and made sure we understood everything that we could about that, and the importance of every product or every ingredient to beer, right? Because it's not just hops. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, hops, that's the main one. I'm like, it's definitely in the top 4. Bad joke. But yeah, it's so we got really nerdy with it, and we do a lot of fun stuff. And we went to Central Waters, we went to Oso, we do get brewery tours. I try and talk with the owners so that they're there, because that's such an impactful and meaningful thing. And I think we had to see like all the barrel aging process and all the house of barrels, as I like to call it, at Central Waters in Amherst, Wisconsin. And they put out some of the best barrel aged beers in the state.
Wow.
But it was a group of maybe 12 to 15 of us that got to slink back there with the owner. That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of the owners, of these different breweries too, are very open to having you guys come there, because Christy and I, just from our, doing this podcast, the staff, the owners, whoever we get to interact with, has been so open, and they want to share and they want to teach, and they're excited about their beer, So I can imagine people definitely welcome you with open arms. You bring a big group of girls there, that just want to drink and learn.
Yeah, it's not always like the biggest group, but I think there's something to be said for the 15 to 25 people, that advances the education, because then you're showing people at a smaller level. You can get into those like, well, this space is only really fit for 12, but we can shove in here, that kind of thing. But I think I would like to say confidently that most of the craft beer community is excited to teach and learn and showcase not only their brewery, but how they do stuff. And, I nerd out when I go to other people's brew houses, because they're not all like mine, right? Like, we don't all look the same. So we're all different shapes and sizes, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to see.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So tell us a little more about your brewery then, the Fermentorium. You have the 2 locations, and tell us what those are like.
Yeah. So the Cedarburg location is actually like an old pet warehouse. I think it used to be like a Pet Supplies Plus kind of deal. Um, and so obviously that got gutted out. We'll have our 6th anniversary March of 2022. Yeah, and so it's a 20-barrel brew house. We have, what do we have, 7 fermenters now? 8 fermenters. We just added 2 more this year. We have our own canning line. Part of the production space does turn into an event space, depending on production and timing. It's mostly on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a big area, and I mean, our tap room, we have a projection screen, and we have a mug club of 150. So there's plenty of space. Definitely a lot of room to grow. We do have some plans to make it maybe a little more to up the curb appeal. How about that? And when it becomes warm again, so spring 2022 is when we plan to make it just a touch prettier out front. But that's the main location. Yeah.
What's the mug club?
The mug club you pay into, and then you have like your own personal mug. So, and you get a mug club card. And so every visit, you there's like 50 visits upgrades you to a 22-ounce mug, and then you get deals on all the beer. So really, like if we're selling pints for $6 and the mug club gets $2 off every mug club eligible beer, which is, I would say, 95% of our taps.
Yeah.
They get a 22-ounce beer for $4, essentially.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we
like
design
cheers.
yeah, exactly. And the more you visit, the better your mug looks. So then we have clear glass steins, and 16 and 22, and then when you hit a certain level, you do a red ceramic that has like it's very bougie, very fancy. And then I know. And then in 2021, the taproom manager and I upgraded, and now we have black mugs that have like a silvery sudsy glaze on the side, and so that's even higher than the red ceramic mugs. So
we are so jealous right now. We want to be in this club, and we live so far away.
I feel like it's like having a platinum credit card, and I just want one.
Yeah, it's a sense of pride, and you know, it's an honor, I guess, here. And there are people that have been here every year since we've opened. They've been a part of the mug club, and so those roll over, right? All those visits. We have a guy who's visited over like 1,500 times. Yeah,
that might be more than your work days.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think he might be here more than I am, for sure.
We need to interview him.
Yeah.
We bought him a cake at 500 visits.
Oh.
We've had we bought him a specific different mug that was just for him. It was a one-off, but he doesn't want to drink out of it because he likes his red mug. I think he's definitely gotten to a black mug by now. And then what else? Yeah, when he was over 1,500, I was like, the taproom manager, Mandy, and I looked at each other and like, what do we do? So we made this voucher for like a party on us, essentially, for him and like 10 of his friends.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
because we didn't know what else to do. I was like, I'll cater the food. We have the beer. Like, you can have our event space. You just tell us a day.
You need to eventually name a beer after him.
Yeah.
That'll be like 5,000.
He has his own beer. That's the other thing, is that when the mug club started, Chris, the owner, thought it'd be a fantastic idea to have like everyone have their own beer. Except for like, he got really overwhelmed because people were hitting that level very quickly.
Oh
no. So needless to say, he's a little far behind, and future mug clubbers, didn't get grandfathered into that. But so anybody who's been in the last 4 to 5 years has definitely gotten their own beer. But yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
well,
just struggle to keep up with that.
I have 2 more questions about this mug club. The first one is, did you say there's 150 members? So is there a waiting list to get on in the club?
Yes, there's a waiting list, and yes, there's 150.
Exclusive.
Wow.
All right.
We want it even more now.
I know. Now you really can't have it.
Well, and to top it off, there's 50 Mug Club members on top of that 150, so 200 across the board. 50 of them are in Tosa.
Okay, that was my next question. If
Yeah.
your Tosa visits go towards your Cedarburg visits and vice versa. Okay.
Yep.
But you haven't told us about Tosa yet, so I'll save that question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine.
That's really cool, though. It makes it feel like even more of a neighborhood bar. Because I feel like people really like places they can go that they feel ownership and like they walk in and everyone knows their name. I mean, it sounds cliche to say the cheers thing, but it's just so nice. Like, we really appreciate that with our own hometown bars.
Yeah. Especially because we have so many tourists here.
Yes.
So we're like, hey guys, remember us? Yeah. Live here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, and they have their own mug when they come in there too, which is even cooler. Cool. Yeah. So Cedarburg, 6 years in March. Are you gonna throw a party?
Oh, I am planning one hell of a party. I am trying my damnedest. Sorry for all the swearing. I apologize.
That's fine.
Don't cancel them. It's March 12th. I've set the date, so it's a Saturday, March 12th. Because it's always around St. Patrick's Day, and I'm like, you're killing me, bro. Why would you? Why would you? But no, it's fine. He technically opened at the end of January, but that's around my birthday, and I refuse to combine the two. So, but March is when they first had their beers on tap, so we go with that.
Oh, okay, that works.
Yeah. So we had the whole production/event space that I just talked about. We're clearing that out. We're gonna have local artists vend, and it's I think there's only really space for like 8 different vendors and artists in the production area. And then that'll probably be like some mid-afternoon with some acoustic guitarist in the area. And then we have a whole list of beers that we're releasing. The owner has, his favorite thing to do is around anniversary beers is go by the traditional wedding anniversary gift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so our 4th anniversary was, Fruit and Flowers. And Fruit and Flowers, as an anniversary gift sounds great, and especially in a beer, sign me up. So we did a whole can design. It was called Blue Flowers, which is actually like a hip hop reference. That's a longer story than than anyone needs to hear, but it was hibiscus and pomegranate, and then I think it had like pea flower in it too to kind of turn it this blue. And it was this fruited ale, kind of tart. It was just such a mix of things, but it was great and people loved it. But that was like literally the beer that we made for our anniversary, and then the pandemic hit probably like 2 weeks before our actual anniversary party, and I had to cancel all of it.
That's so sad.
Were you still able to sell the beer?
Oh yeah, we sold the beer. It was great. But it was just, it was heartbreaking to, have all these beers, to plan everything, all these posters, all the social media, you know what I mean? Like everything that goes into an event, press releases, and then just have it be wiped out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, so that would have been 2020. Did you have a 5th year anniversary party this past year?
We didn't.
Oh.
We didn't, because nothing really opened up until, I would say, June, at least for us.
Yeah.
Here. And so with all the uncertainty, it's like, no.
Yeah.
So this year is going to be a big bash to make up for all those missed parties.
Oh yeah, it's 4, 5, 6 is what I call it. 4 because we missed 4, we missed 5, and this is 6. And I got a killer band that I am in the process of booking. They're open, I'm open, so just have to finalize those details. And that's for Cedarburg, and then I have to do a whole different version of a party and have live bands and make sure Toast is all good to go.
Will they be celebrating the same day?
Yeah, no, okay. It's just going to be a crazy party between 2 locations, and then we're closed the next day, so everybody can recover.
That's
awesome.
Generous, yeah. But they're probably like 45 minutes to an hour apart?
They're, I would say half hour, 45 minutes. It's not a full hour. Yeah. it depends on how you go and the traffic, but.
Are you going to have to go to both locations that day?
Oh, you know it. You bet. No, I travel between those two locations all the time. It's
Sure.
yeah, I like load my Jeep up and then like take a bunch of stuff down, or like we'll bring stuff up and all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff.
Well,
All
so
the things.
how do you pronounce the second location? Because I've never been to Wisconsin and I always struggle with all the names of the towns out there.
Yeah, it's Wauwatosa.
Wauwatosa.
And we keep saying Tosa.
Okay. I was
Tosa.
like, I'm looking at my notes here and I'm like, what is happening? Do you not pronounce anything before the T?
It's all silent.
I think it's actually I don't remember what exact Native American tribe, but it means firefly.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Well, I mean,
so there are a lot of bars and like firefly-esque things in Wauwatosa.
have you done a firefly beer, like on the can or logo or anything?
We haven't done a firefly on a can, except for that barrel house. That's what we call our Wauwatosa location. The Tosa location has its own mug club, and so when we designed shirts this year, we had one of our mug club members who's an artist design the shirts, and it was a firefly that kind of hooked into our logo, and it was
really
very cool.
Yeah. I love that. I love hearing the stories behind the logos and the art that's on the can and the names and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, what do you call the Toast location?
The Barrel House.
The Barrel House. So when did you open the Barrel House?
May of 2019. It was about 2 months before I started.
And are you brewing there as well, or is that just strictly a tap room?
It's strictly a tap room. The initial plans were to have it obviously be a barrel house and have it age all the goods. There was more of a fight with the federal government at that time because they wanted us to build all these other like half walls. So like when you submit the plans, right, you get the initial okay, and then when you go back through and like checking everything off, they're like, oh well, they like changed it up on us, and it's kind of like, what? Like that wasn't in the plan, and it's like that's going to cost so much money. So while he was deciding that, we just kind of ran with it.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, I just rearranged it last week actually. We have a parklet now, and that had come down for the winter, but like we have beer coolers for to-go beer that are in this really pretty wooden and like steel, I assume, or some kind of metal trellis. And that actually housed the barrels. It was really pretty. And so we left the barrels inside, didn't take them back to Cedarburg. I mean, they're empty because legally the government was like, no, you can't have anything fermenting in these barrels because if you open up like the bong or people rip a nail out of the barrel, then it's untaxed and they can get drunk and not pay for it, right?
Oh my god!
And that's government, yay! So that's not this discussion. But yeah, they were super picky, which is, I mean, fine, but changing the game plan from what you approve to what
must be.
So, I'm like, all right, well, this is harder than it needs to be. So we built a kitchen. We built the kitchen instead. So
well, that's good because we definitely get the drinking munchies.
Yeah, I mean that has a lot of weight when we're trying to plan our like boozy travel, and we're always like, okay, which ones have food? Because we should start there, get a base before we do like our whole day drinking extravaganza. So I love when there's an actual kitchen.
Oh yeah, and we're doing like, my goal at least is to add waffle fries to the menu because I love waffle fries. But but we have like tachos, and so it's instead of nachos, it's tots, and or like nacho chips. Yeah.
I got so excited.
For sure. Yeah.
And I'm saying you're like tachos. Don't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's just we don't need chips. We need fried potatoes. So
those are like our two
yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, she's the tots. I'm definitely like fries. How about cheese curds?
So with the equipment we have, cheese curds doesn't really work, but we have mac and cheese bites.
Oh,
So
okay.
with smoked
Even
Gouda,
better.
yeah.
Our
And
equipment
then
will
we,
let us do just cheese curds. We have to do mac and cheese bites. That's awesome.
well, I mean, I'd rather have smoked Gouda. I mean, you can get cheese curds anywhere, and I'm
Oh,
not
I
here to
know.
compete with, other people who are doing it amazingly well. It's like, I wouldn't offer the same. So, but I'll go with these mac and cheese bites that are 10 times better.
Yeah, that's cool. Because
So,
Walter's across the street, they have cheese curds.
yeah, I don't want to compete with the neighbor,
That's right.
So, yeah, so we have mac and cheese bites, elote bites, Bavarian pretzels that are made locally.
Oh,
We're going to do locally sourced dogs too.
this is like
This
all
So
of our
is
favorite
our
foods.
yeah,
dream menu.
Yep.
yeah, so we're like a buffalo chicken dog. So it's like boneless wings tossed in buffalo sauce on top of a dog with
No-brainer.
melted cheese and all sorts of stuff. And what else? Oh, pizzas. How could I ever forget
Oh,
pizzas?
pizza.
They're actually made down the street though at Cranky Al's. Um,
Cranky
Cranky
owls.
owl.
Cranky Al's, and it's a donut place.
Oh my
But
god.
they have killer breakfast burritos. They have really good donuts, and I always go there on Fat Tuesday and get punchkis. That's such a Polish German thing to say, but
What is
it's the
that?
so it's this donut that is filled, and I usually don't care for donuts, and I definitely don't care for filled donuts, but I get the raspberry one, and
Mm-hmm.
it's coated lightly in like just regular sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the level of cinnamon sugar that you put on like cinnamon. It's on Cinnamon Toast Crunch, so it's not overpowering, but like it's there.
Yeah.
And they're only like punchkis are made for Fat Tuesday, and who knew Mardi Gras and Fat Tuesday was such a big thing in Wisconsin? But
Right.
it is, and I'm here for it. It's my favorite. It's like the only time I really want a donut is on Fat Tuesday. So
Oh,
there you
well,
go.
that's awesome. That sounds
But yeah,
delicious.
Cranky Owls makes some of the best, and then they also make pizzas that they sell to local grocery stores, or like one grocery store chain, and then like two restaurants that I know of. One is a bar in Tosa, further down the street, but they have different kinds, and then it'll be us, and we're on the same block, so it makes sense to have them on our menu.
Keep it in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
On the
mean,
block.
I don't know how much more local I could get it at that point. So,
Oh, well, that's cool. So, tell us about your distribution. If not, in Cedarburg or Wauwatosa, where can we find your beers?
all as far south as Kenosha, Wisconsin, or the border of Wisconsin, essentially, in Illinois. We also distribute to Minnesota, so the Twin
Cool.
Cities,
Mm-hmm.
Duluth, Rochester, and then we cover a good portion of the eastern half of Wisconsin. Um, we do have like two different distributors, one for Minnesota and one for northern Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, we self distribute. Um, so we have our own boots on the ground, including myself, who are out there selling beer, and then we have a delivery driver, a whole delivery schedule, and just stocking shelves and making sure tap lines are full.
So, are you focused on more of the retail outlets or other bars and restaurants, or what's your primary focus for distribution?
All of the above. All of
Oh.
the above. Yeah. No, I mean, we have tap takeovers at different places in
Mm-hmm.
the next few months. We have, I mean, everything from tap takeovers to making sure our beer's out on Black Friday, because we have a big release coming out. We call it Blackout Wednesday, so it's the day before Thanksgiving.
One of the biggest drinking days of the year.
That's it.
If I
We're
remember
here for it.
correctly.
Yeah,
Appropriate
we're here.
name.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah. There's other ones besides just being blackout on that day, but the power has actually gone out in Cedarburg because it got so windy that
Oh.
like it knocked over or like would shake the power line so much that we did have a blackout in the brewery. And so like generators kicked in and stuff like that. But at one point
Oh,
there
well,
was
thank
an
goodness.
actual blackout. Yeah. And then the beer is very dark. So that's the other part.
Mm-hmm.
It's an imperial milk stout.
Oh,
So good.
yeah.
Like that just made me think of a question though. What happens if you guys lose power for a couple of days and you're not able to get like the generators up? Does that affect the brewing process?
Well, with any luck, we're not brewing that day. We actually have a power outage. I mean, if he was brewing, if Matt was brewing and the power went out and stayed out, and we would have to just toss everything in the tanks. And like, at least in the brew system, we do have a separate control for each of the fermenters. So those are well cared for. The only thing that we would really worry about if the generators didn't kick in would be what is it? Our actual cooler. Duh. Yeah, and so it's just a matter of, it's kind of like your fridge, right? Don't open it unless you have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And see, we have an outside gauge reader, so like I can like see what the temperature is and kind of go from there. But we did have the power go out for probably like I would say 3 to 4 days in Tosa, and so that cooler was obviously down, and all of that beer, we just had to like tap new kegs and obviously clean the lines beforehand, but tap new kegs.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
Yeah, that's sad.
Are you guys able to brew year round? Because I know it gets really cold out there. And I was at a brewery that had a really high elevation and it got really cold. And they said it could become difficult to keep the temperatures where they were supposed to be.
We have no problem brewing year round. I've never even heard of that. That's fantastic.
I don't know if it was because of the high elevation, the air was thinner and they just had trouble keeping maintaining the right temperature for brewing during the really harshest part of the winter.
That's interesting. Yeah, we've never come across that. It is supremely hot in its own version of its own heater when we do brew. So it keeps us warm, especially in the office because it's right off the production facility. So, if you're ever cold, just walk out near the brew house. But no, we've never had trouble. That's fascinating. I've never heard that.
So you mentioned that Tank 8 project.
Yeah.
So what is that?
It started as a joke, to be honest. And then it just kind of rolled into its own brand. The owner had gotten a very small, I think it's an 8, I don't know. I don't want to say it's an 8-barrel tank, but it literally has a label on it that says Tank 8. And we got it in an auction. We just needed like a smaller, like bright tank, so that we could split beers and do different things with like a smaller batch. And that's not how we name our tanks. But he thought it was so funny that he left it. And then we were just like, oh, I want to try this style of beer. We should do something silly like this, and we should just make it a Tank 8 beer. That sounds like a Tank 8 beer. Everything was a Tank 8 beer. And then I was like, no, Tank 8 beer. Like, we like kind of looked at each other and we were like, so Tank 8. And we're like, yeah, Tank 8. And now it's like, it's brewed under a system, and Crispy and the Boys was the first because we would all joke about, oh, I just want something super crispy. I want something super easy to drink. Like, especially, if you sometimes will crack a beer at like 2 p.m., if you're working at a brewery and just be like, oh, I just want something light. I want something crispy. And so Crispy was born. At first it was Crispy, and now it's Crispy and the Boys, because he has some henchmen on the can. So it's just, the artwork is weird, which is great. And a lot of the other beer stylists have kind of come into not trolling the beer industry, but like just having more fun with it and taking ourselves less seriously. I mean, if you look at the Fermentorium cans, they're well branded. The artwork's great. It's very consistent, and we love that. That's lovely, and they're noticeable cans. However, sometimes you just want a dad bod clown with an X on your can, and that's fine.
That's awesome.
I do have to say, you don't have to work in a brewery to crack cans at 2 PM or earlier.
I know.
No, you don't. But that's how it started for us. So
Sure.
kind of like, I could go for something crispy. Is it crispy time? Is it like you want a crispy? It's like its own time.
Yeah.
So
we
do you guys
5 o'clock.
Do you do your the art in house, or do you have somebody that does that for you?
We actually have multiple artists. So we have a guy who just does all Fermentorium stuff, and then one of the owner's friends, it's really just on his Instagram. He was deep diving on the guy's Instagram. He's an artist out in Portland, Oregon, and Crispy was on his Instagram from like 2015 or something obnoxious, like a long time ago. It was just this clown. He's like, oh, could you also like add 2 of his friends, and like they fine tune some things. Some other cans are like TP for my brown ale, which we did in the middle of the pandemic.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because it's just this like, it looks like this person with a crown on, but sitting on a throne of toilet paper. And that art had been out way before the pandemic, and it was just chilling on his Instagram. And, Chris chuckled when he saw it and was like, oh yeah, we're doing a beer around this. And so it's a peanut butter brown ale because
I like
we're
really
having
want
fun.
to try that, but I'm also half disgusted. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
hilarious.
yeah, I like love and hate it, but I love peanut butter and beer.
We're brewing a fresh batch, so I can. I've been hoarding beers and putting them aside. So when I send you a box, I was going to send you all the new sweater weathers, which was the Imperial Milk Stouts, and then some other fun stuff that was happening. So that's definitely on there. But we're just taking it just for fun, essentially. I mean, obviously, it's its own beer, its own brewery. Essentially, you can find it on tap. It has its own social media. I think it has its own license, legally, and so we just sell it like any other. It's like we have 2 brands. This is what that is, and we try and treat it within reason as separately as we can.
Like you said, it has its own brand.
Yeah.
So has there ever been a Tank 8 beer that you guys said, oh, no, this didn't turn out good, we can't sell this, or we don't want to drink it? Or have they all been successful?
I think they've all been successful in their own ways.
Yeah.
The first Adult Themes, so Adult Themes, it was supposed to be our version of a milkshake IPA, and that didn't necessarily hit all the notes that we wanted. It wasn't bad to drink. It was just not a milkshake IPA. And so it was a triple berry. So it had strawberry, blackberry, probably raspberry in it. So it had a lot of milk sugar and vanilla in it, and it was very creamy and delicious, but it did not resemble milkshake IPA. So we kind of got dinged, on that. And then, the fruits are not necessarily the sweetest fruits. And so it was also it was tartar than we meant it to be. And, I think that was the only one, but that was like the first of a series.
But some people might love that.
Yeah. And
I'm listening. I'm like, oh, I would drink that. Yeah.
For sure. And it wasn't drinkable or tasty. It was just not what I guess he had envisioned in, the artiste in him, wasn't satisfied, There
was no chef's kiss after that one.
No, but we're on our 3rd variation of Adult Themes, and so this one is tropical. So it's what is it? Pineapple, orange, and mango. No, is it guava? Mango. I would have to double check, but it's delicious either way. It's so stupidly good. And that's one of my favorite beers to, have as a shifty. It's like, oh, what do you have after a long day? Adult Themes, and the can is Freud in a suit, lifting it up to show his one of his nipples and then touching it, and it's his nipples pierced. So
oh my god, I love this.
It's just absurd. But also the thing is that people don't understand it's Freud. So
Yeah.
you don't catch that it's a Freudian nip slip, right?
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, so yeah.
So clever. I
I
love this.
know.
Christy and I talk all the time about if we had, our
Our
own
own
line of
brand.
beers.
Yeah.
Who would get to name them and who would get to write the descriptions, because Christy is very punny and she's very clever with names and everything. But I always tell her, no, you're such a good writer. You should write the descriptions.
Yeah, we argue because it sounds like the naming is way more fun.
I love writing the descriptions. I get to write all of them for at least Tank 8, but because I get to be also as borderline vulgar as I possibly can and suggestive, and because it's such like no one's gonna take you seriously. Like
it's Tank 8.
The description of Crispy is like literally like this will get you through your day. It'll help you mow the lawn. It'll get you through awkward family gatherings. Like just like all the things that Crispy is there for. Because that's how you have to write it. You have to. I mean, I used to write about beer for different publications, like local publications and stuff like that.
Oh,
and like that's what you just have to like think through it for people and walk them through it and be, give all the tasty notes, but also be as weird and funny about it as possible because it's entertaining.
Yeah, having that fun voice, I think. I mean, it's beer. Why not have fun with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And you get to bring some of your past experience then to your current job, and doing what you love. I think that's awesome. Have you created or been, the driving force behind any of the beers on tap? Do you get to throw ideas out there for them to brew?
For sure. So we have a beer on currently called Classic Boat Squeakies, and and that we actually brewed at my friend Erica's brewery. It's Tumbled Rock in Baraboo, and they're freshly 2 years old, but it's just really her and the brew house. And so we went on this adventure to Door County because she had never been to Door County, had never put her feet in Lake Michigan, and I just thought that was absurd.
Yeah, I was gonna say unacceptable.
Yeah. Granted, she was living in California beforehand, so like she gets kind of a pass, but she had been here long enough that she could have ventured to Lake Michigan at any point. And so I rented this Airbnb that ended up being like the sailboat. And
you didn't know it was a sailboat when you rented it?
No, I mean, I knew it was a sailboat for sure. Okay. But like I'm sorry, that was worded poorly. I apologize. But
no, but I love that because that's something I would do and then try to play it off like, yeah, I totally knew. It seems cool, right?
Well, like I definitely knew it was a sailboat when I rented it because that was like the driving force. Like nothing was available that weekend, and nothing was available that weekend. And for this beer festival, it was the Door County Brew Fest, and I was like, I don't know, like if I rented this for like 2 or 3 nights and then I can stay on this boat. Otherwise, like really nothing's available for a night. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I'm like, hey, Erica, you want to go on an adventure? Like, I know there's still the pandemic and like it's just us and like we can just hang out with each other. And she was like, yeah, totally, dude. So she came to the brewery in Cedarburg and we drove up and we stopped at the Target, I think, in Door County, which is like not great because everything's more expensive once you cross into the Door is the actual county's name. So like once you cross into that county, everything becomes I would say at least 20% more, if not more expensive. And so we made that mistake, but we bought some booze. We bought like
a necessity.
Yeah, like, and I think we bought some snacks. We didn't really go through much of it, except for she was dead set on having champagne. For both being very big beer girls, we love champagne, and so we started there. I had an obsession with our watermelon White Claw. I promise the story has an ending. And so we essentially got drunk on Friday night, the day before this brew fest, on this like sailboat, and we started at the brewery because there was a brewery on shore, so it was already docked, and so we just walked our drunk asses down to the boat continue to stay up, get drunk, drink out of these like little gold pineapple cups at Target that have like lids and straws. Yep, 2 of those bad boys, filled those suckers up.
That you paid like $24 for each in Door County.
Well, probably, yeah. They were probably like so expensive. And it was just kind of like not to sound old, but like a very much YOLO moment, right? Like you just, whatever. It's a whatever. Like let's just go. Let's just have fun. I'm tired of worrying about, you know, if anything's like super absurd, I probably would have passed. I was like, meh, let's just do this. And yeah, so we just got drunk on this boat, and I was probably like 2 a.m. or something obnoxious, and you get the fenders or like whatever is hanging off boats to keep them from hitting the dock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were squeaking, and the water was moving, right? Because water. And she looked at me in like sheer panic, and she's like, "Oh my God, what is that? Do you hear those? Do you hear the squeaks?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, it's just like classic boat squeakies." And we giggled our dumb little selves, you know, just to oblivion. We just thought it was the funniest thing ever. So I don't know how we didn't drop one of our phones, if not both, in the water, but we whipped out our phones, put that in the notes app because we're idiots. And we already have our pastry stout planned as well. The name for that is I'm looking for a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Thanks,
we know where
TikTok.
You can sell that beer.
Yeah. And and it was just, you know, I wanted to do the style, and she had never done the style, so it's an Australian sparkling ale. And they're not very common, and the one I had left such an impression on me that I couldn't obviously stop thinking about it, you know, almost within a decade later. And so I just was like, yeah, I need to make this. And you want to make this beer with me, and then we'll name it something stupid because we had such a fun time and connected and like just had the best weekend ever.
I love that story.
Together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And this is just solidifying my theory that like all names of beers are from some sort of inside joke between like the brewers and the team and stuff, because like I'll read them and I'm like, this is super funny, but I feel like it makes no sense, but it's probably really funny. It makes a lot of sense to the people who came up with this inside joke name.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, for the fermentorium and stuff like that, it's not a fermentorium beer, right? But it fits for Tank 8 because it's just weird. Like, of course.
Yeah.
Of course Tank 8 would have a beer called Classic Boat Squeakies. Why not?
I think you let us try that when we were there too.
I did. I was
because I really like that one, and you showed me pictures from that trip, and that's when you completely won me over. I'm like, oh my God, Brainer Maggie just like welcomed me into her life. She's showing me pictures on her phone from her trip. Awesome. That solidified my love for you, Maggie.
So I think I also showed you the picture of my friend Erica meeting a goat for the first time. And her face is like a kid on Christmas getting everything they've ever wanted.
Oh, yeah, the pure excitement and joy. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, Erica, you're a celebrity. Yeah. In my mind, yeah. And I just want to bring up, I think Chrissy might have a couple questions for you because it's about time to wrap this up. Maybe some quick, like, fast five questions. But I just have to tell Chrissy, because she and I think it's very important to always ask the bartender or someone on staff what to drink, what they recommend, because we love sours. We shy away from IPAs. I am still dreaming about Vape Life, that cotton candy American IPA. Like, that was the most amazing beer ever because it tasted like straight up cotton candy. I remember I texted you, Chrissy, instantly.
I got an instant random text of Vape Life, and I'm like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, and it's another one of those tank vape beers.
Yeah. Are you really re-releasing that again? Because I know you had it on tap when I was there, but you didn't have any cans.
No, that is no longer on tap. I think I considered when I was crowlering up like the last 2 crowlers, just saving one for you. But I'd rather send you a fresh batch in the spring when it comes back out.
Oh, so. You are going? Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
We're
I just
brewing
didn't
it again.
want it to never be a thing again.
That was one of our fastest selling Tank 8 beers. And
really,
yeah, and it is, like everyone's like, oh, cotton candy, so obnoxious, or maybe not everyone, but like it sold really well. It tasted exactly how it should taste,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it wasn't bright blue or bright pink, like typical cotton candy, though we did put
Right.
cotton candy sugar in it. And we nailed it. I think we nailed that. I think that was a huge success,
Mm-hmm.
from the brewer to the marketing to, because if you look at the can, well, not you guys, but like, but the artwork for that is an aged millennial hitting his vape,
Yeah.
in a rocking chair with, I think, a backwards hat. It's very like, you
Yeah.
know,
Because I had seen it before. Gosh, I don't. Oh, up on your wall in the Tosa
yeah,
location, it has all the labels. Yeah, because
yeah,
I was gonna say I know I saw it somewhere. That's where it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, Chris,
And
we get to try this
I'm
beer.
I'm so excited. The anticipation is killing me.
And I it's not all hype. Like this
No,
is
I know.
legit. This is
I mean,
delicious.
I know if Molly sends me a text that is good and
That just
it
says
needs
Vape
to
Life.
be in my life. Yeah.
Like, no, we
you
don't
guys
vape.
yeah,
What's
no,
happening?
and that's the other thing. It's like, I don't either, but I would totally drink that. I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty good. No wonder
Yeah.
kids vape. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is what it tastes like. I'm like, sure.
Absolutely.
Minus the negative health effects. Like, I get it, but yeah.
It's time for our Fast Five. All right. So I do have some questions for you. In the podcast, we like to do something called Fast Five. So I have 5 questions for you that I'm going to try to get through before we supposedly have a minute left. So I'm just going to dive right in.
I'll hurry.
Sours or seltzers?
Oh, either. I drink my fair amount of seltzer though, so I'll go seltzer.
Okay. Favorite drinking game?
Flip cup.
Yeah, me too.
Would you rather do brewery yoga or brewery 5K?
Brewery yoga.
Okay. And your favorite fermentorium brew?
Oh, that's painful to pick. Okay, I'm gonna go sweater weather, but a variant of sweater weather. So sweater weather is the imperial milk stout coming out the day before Thanksgiving on Blackout Wednesday, but we did a variation last year that was called Car Bomb. So we barrel aged a portion of it and added like the Bailey's-esque flavor, and it was freaking phenomenal. And we have one coming out called Mint Chocolate, and I think that might be the next rival to Car Bomb sweater weather. But I mean, that's a very I could go on for that. That's just the one on top of my head because I'm staring at sweater weather cans. So
that sounds so good.
Well,
yeah,
Maggie, I was only there for an hour, and I only tried 4 beers, and I loved every one. So you guys are always in my mind. I just can't wait to come back.
You're just gonna start getting random boxes of beers as they come out, and you're like, "What in the world?"
We are okay with that.
Oh my god, we'll find something from Florida to send you.
Yeah.
Box of
that works for
sunshine.
me.
You'll get a weird box of random Florida stuff.
I'm down. Florida's wild from what I hear. Y'all just wilding out down there. I see TikToks or Instagram posts of like drivers, and I was like, yeah, is that any crazier than Wisconsin? And then you always beat that. You always beat that question.
We rule the weird news, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And so my last question in the Fast Five was, what is your favorite guilty pleasure drink that people wouldn't expect? But I feel like you answered that with your love of champagne.
Or watermelon
champagne.
That's true.
Watermelon White Claw is probably my guilty pleasure. Champagne's very acceptable. But watermelon White Claw for sure. Party girl central. I think any like actual like hard alcohol turns me into like a whole different human where she's called Party Maggie. And at one point at a friend's party recently in Door County, we were playing Flip Cup and I ran out of beer, and so I took my margarita and put that in the Flip Cup to drink. Yeah, so
proud.
I know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there for you to unpack without me diving too deep because you already know.
Oh, I love it. I want one question for Fast Five.
Yeah.
Just to end on a Wisconsin note, Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre?
Y'all are ruthless.
I know they're both bums. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
How
and
do you
they
choose?
are. So I'm going to choose Brett Favre, but I have a reason. And that's because my birthday used to be on the Super Bowl, like at the end of January before they moved it to like the first weekend in February.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, Brett Favre won the Super Bowl on my 10th birthday.
Aww.
That solidified it for me. But
All right.
no, he's a total, both of them are. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. You want me back?
Yeah.
I was like, oh gosh.
That's my only like happy memory of Brett Favre. So there you go.
No, that's cool. Oh, Maggie, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you again, and we could talk to you for another like 4 hours.
Yes,
just keep pouring
this is
beers.
so fun.
But yeah, we'll have to do a follow-up if when we do get some beer, we'll do a tasting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had so much fun. Thank you for including me.
Yeah, and
on
hopefully
your
we
adventure.
can do it live and in person, because I told Chrissy, I said this year, well, right now it's 2021. 2022, you are coming to Wisconsin with me.
If you guys come in March, just let me know, because I'll definitely find maybe not a sailboat Airbnb, but something that's cool, and you can just come party with us for your anniversary. You'll want better than a tent. It's March.
We know. We don't really like tents anyway, but I'm just like, just to come to the party, I'll sleep in a tent.
Absolutely.
Just camp out in the back of the brewery. It's fine.
Yeah. You said it's really warm in there.
Yeah, it is.
Sleeping next to the tanks.
I want to sleep next to tank 8.
Oh god!
I'll cuddle up with the clown art.
That'll be our beer. Brewery sleeping bags.
Yeah.
See, I wanted to host a lock-in at a brewery.
Oh my god.
That would be sick, right?
Yes.
I haven't done that since high school. I don't think I've heard that word since high school. But I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Maggie. Well, have a great week, and I'm sure we'll be talking with you again soon. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Cheers. Bye.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon with more boozy fun.
Well, and make sure to follow us on social media so you can get the drink of the day on Wasted Wednesdays. On Facebook, we're /Boozy Blondes. On the gram, we are at boozy.blondes. And on YouTube, we're /Boozy Blondes. Visit our website for recipes and references from each episode at www.boozyblondes.com. We'd love to hear from you, so send us an email sharing your boozy stories and requests and pictures at boozyblondespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast so you never miss a chance to drink with us. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and more. And don't forget to leave a review. The boozier, the better. If we love your toast to our show, we'll read it on air. Stay boozy.
Cheers.